Hello,
Hi, Valerie.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, so it looks like we have a number of participants today, and
Mm-hmm.
so you just let me know. I think I can, let me just see. No, I do not have the ability to bring them in. So somebody, I think Maddie's supposed to join us.
See.
Um,
Let me see. Can I bring them in? Oh, I don't know.
let me just make sure she's jumping on.
Okay. Yeah, I looked over everything uh before coming in, so
Oh,
we
you
at
are
least on
on.
my
Okay.
end, uh, I'm at least good to go.
Because I was just about to try to see if I could bring people in, but I don't have host capabilities, so.
Sorry. Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Um,
Maddie.
hello. So far we only have Kate.
I'm here.
Oh,
Valerie,
Nick
I
is
here's
made you a
Nick.
here.
co-host just in case.
Nick is
Sorry,
here.
I left my phone in the car and I went outside to get it, and of course now it's pouring rain. There's Nick.
Maddie, I got to explore briefly. I wouldn't even say really exploring, but I got a brief tour of some of the wetlands, the constructed wetlands at Nuri Point, as part of the conference during the
Very
week.
cool.
It was very cool.
Oh, I forgot that was this week.
Yeah. And it
Wow,
actually
time flies, man.
gave me a couple of ideas, and it was a good conference.
That's excellent. I can't wait to hear more about it. All right, well, I see Nick, I see Katie. Um, I know Jennifer hoped to join us last time, but she had some issues logging on. So hopefully she won't have that problem tonight. But Chair, whenever you are ready to get started, it's your show.
All right, I'm just gonna make sure she's not trying to email before we do. No? Okay. All right. So this is the Environmental Advisory Council meeting for Village of Ossining for November 3rd, 2025. Chairperson Schlott, we are starting the meeting. Nick, you present?
Working on it. Nick Tedrow.
And Katie?
I'm here.
Um, So we have a couple of things on the agenda, and we have Maddie from the planning department and uh Valerie Monastra as well. We have a few things on the agenda. Does it matter which order we go in? Um, I know some of these are or not necessarily new, but somewhat continuing. Um, should we
Yeah,
start with
so
30?
I was gonna say, why don't you start with 34 State Street? Because I think most of their group is here based on the panel and the attendees that I'm seeing. And then
Okay.
Maddie, Annie, their attorney, she just asked for the link. She said the link on the website's not the correct link.
Okie doke. Hang on one second.
I'm gonna just double check. I considered the link I have, which is like a panelist link, I think.
Yeah. Hold on one second.
Sorry.
Hold on. Who is it? Annie?
Yeah.
I can put it in the chat in case one of the Balter folks wants to text her. Can I do that?
Yeah, just put it in the chat because then I can email her back.
There is no chat. There is no chat. Okay, hang on one second. Hold on. Okay, I just copied it from the actual Zoom login. So the one I just sent should work.
Okay, perfect.
Maddie, I heard you say one of the WBP folks could do something. Do you need us to do something?
No. We were just trying to figure out how to convey this information to Annie from your team, but it looks
Got
like
it.
Valerie is going to be able to do that. I also see that we have 2 folks calling in. So certainly if there's anyone else that you're expecting, please let me know if you think they're one of the folks who have joined by
Nope,
phone.
not from our team.
All right, cool.
Are we waiting on someone else from, oh, there we go. Hi. So this is for 34 State Street, correct?
Yes, this is.
All right.
So do we have Annie yet or no?
I just sent her an email. Oh, Todd Yost said the same thing.
Yep, I just sent it around to everybody on the chain.
All right. Okay.
We'll give,
So
let's give her
just
another
a
minute then. We'll
word
give her
in-
another minute. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just a word in our defense. Someone from Valerie's team, Danielle, from the Nelson Pope office, had been hosting these meetings for some time. She is no longer doing that. So I think last month I kind of gobbledygooked something together, and then this month we're trying it a little bit of a different way. So thank you for everyone bearing with us as we.
I will admit that this has actually been the smoothest that we've connected everybody in a while. So
That's why I wanted
so
to make sure to be sitting
whatever
at
you
my
did
desk.
last month worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, the difficulty is there's always these 2-part authentications and it's been an interesting trying to figure this all out. Annie is
All right,
in
so I
the
see
attendees.
Annie
Yeah.
and okie doke. All right, and I see Trustee Yost is on as well, so unless he raises his hand, I'm going to leave him as an attendee at this time. All right.
Okay.
Right. I think we're good.
Hi all.
Thanks,
I'm
everyone.
So sorry. I was trying to click on the link on the agenda and for some reason it wasn't working. So thank you for sending me the link via email and I apologize for my troubles. I can start on 34th State Street if
Yep.
we're good to go. Okay, great.
Yep.
So this is the project on 34th State Street. This is the former Printex site where the Smith Robinson House is located. As you may know, it's a through lot with frontages on State, James, and Hunter Streets. It's 5.9 acres and it's located in the PWC district. So WBP 34 State LLC is the contract vendee on the property, and we are proposing the construction of 4 buildings. Buildings 1 and 2 are both 4-story multifamily buildings containing 52 and 48 units, so a total of 100 units. These are proposed to be for sale condominium units offered at sales prices set at 80% of AMI pursuant to the New York State's Affordable Home Ownership Opportunity Program. They will also be connected to the Smith Robinson House, which we intend to preserve a certain amount of the facade. It's in very significant disrepair at this point. So we are proposing to restore a certain percentage of the facade and integrate it into the 2 buildings. It will be used as amenity space for the condo buildings. The 3rd building will be a market rate rental building containing 50 dwelling units. So the entire project will be 150 dwelling units, and there will be various amenities on the property for both the AHOP and the market rate rental buildings. There's also a 2-story below grade parking structure that will contain 290 parking spaces. One level will be available to the market rate rental building and the other level will be available to the condo building. and we are currently before the planning board right now. We've met with them 3 times, and they just referred us to your board last Tuesday. We need a written recommendation on the LWRP consistency review. We also will need to come before you on the tree removal permit. We are intending to submit a tree removal plan and landscape plan for the planning board's November 6th submission deadline. So we expect that the planning board will review that at its next meeting, and then probably refer us back to you to go over that plan as well. But we did submit the local waterfront revitalization checklist to your board, and we're happy to go over that this evening and answer any questions you have. Jim Wendling from WBP is available, and is Rich, and yeah, Rich Williams from
Yeah.
Insight, our civil engineer, is here as well. So we're really excited about this project, and look forward to moving forward on this.
I just wanted to know, like, this is actually, I think this came before us, not your particular site, but this the plot I think came before us many years ago
It
at
did.
this point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um
Yeah, so it was back in 2015. They were proposing 188 units on this property, and those approvals expired in 2016, 2017. My office, my firm actually came back to get those reapproved in 2018, 2019. But unfortunately, that project has those approvals have expired again, and we're now proposing this new project here. But yes, there is a bit of history on this
all
property.
right. I remember it from the 2019 round.
Okay,
That's what I'm recalling. And I believe actually at that meeting you had spoken about doing the below ground parking lots at that point. And I don't know actually if Nick and Katie specifically, if you have questions regarding this, because I know that, like, for me in the past I've seen this before. But if there was anything in particular that you two might want to highlight.
Perhaps they could walk us through the project quickly. Would that be okay?
Sure. Rich, can you pull up a plan? Do we have those capabilities? Yeah, right.
You
Um,
should, but
yeah.
just in case you need me to share screen, I can do that also.
Sure. So I'll start, and then we also have Rich Williams, principal with Insight Engineering, our civil engineer, and Chris Hahn, who's works with me on the development team for WBP. What you see here is State Street on your right, James Street on the bottom of the screen. The square building you see adjacent to State Street is the Smith Robinson House. So when Ann described the partial restoration of the Smith Robinson House, unfortunately, it is in disrepair. It has not been protected over the past 6 or 7 years. It has suffered significant water damage. So what we intend on doing is recreating with existing materials and materials that match the front facade and the side returns, the parts that would be the parts that the public could view and the people that live on the building or people that live on the site can view, to recreate it to what it initially looked like. Flanking that building, in that building will be the amenities for the two what we're calling AHOP buildings. AHOP stands for Affordable Home Ownership Opportunity Program. So essentially, 2/3 of the site will be for sale affordable condominiums, as Ann described. So those two buildings sit perpendicular to the Smith Robinson House, and again connected with amenity space. In between in the courtyard area, what you see is surface parking lot and drop-off area, not surface parking lot, surface parking spaces for visitors, guests, quick deliveries, and that area will be hardscaped and landscaped and shared by all three buildings. You also see on page upper left, top left, a pool and outdoor amenity space, hardscaped and landscaped area that will be shared by both the market rate building, which is perpendicular to the Hudson River. Thank you, Rich, and the AHOP building. The market rate building will have its own amenities in the interior, just because there'll be two condominium budgets established, or an HOA condominium budget for the AHOP portion of the project, and a rental operations budget for the market rate rental. You cannot see the parking, but the parking sits underneath the courtyard. You see two entrances off, three entrances off James. That is to go to the different levels of the parking, so that the renters will go to their level only. The condominium owners will go to their level only, so it won't be a mix of parking. It'll be easier to identify where to pull into. What you can see here, this is not a fully rendered plan, but what you see here is how the Smith Robinson House front facade sits proud, to again restore it to look like it did at its best time. You see the courtyard area, and you see the market rate rental and pool adjacent to the Hudson River. The New York State is very supportive of this project. To do an affordable homeownership condominium project, you need substantial subsidy from New York State. They've seen this site. They love it. It's a new program that the state came out with. As Annie said, its sale price is set at 80% of area median income, with household income eligibility up to 100% AMI. So that's kind of site overview. Rich, I don't know if there's anything you want to point out from a civil perspective that I didn't touch on, but please do.
Oh, sure. Couple of things to point out. As Annie mentioned, this is a different project than you last saw when this was last before you. The overall site disturbance has been reduced. I believe the previous plan had a lot of disturbance on the steep slopes between Hunter and our site. We're going to be taking a much softer approach with respect to that. We are going to create a walking path. It goes down to Hunter. There are going to be a series of off-site improvements that we are currently coordinating with the village that are going to be on our next submission. One is some additional parking along Hunter. So we're going to take that advantage to create that additional parking, and then also create pedestrian connectivity for our residents.
Rich, let me just jump in there. Additional parking to benefit likely those that live on Hunter Street, not to benefit those that will live on the site.
Great point, Jim. And then we're going to take that opportunity to build some better pedestrian connectivity to get to the train station from our development. We also recognize that there is an existing pedestrian connection through the James Street right-of-way, commonly known as Breakneck Hill. We're also working with the village to do a series of improvements along the sidewalks along James Street, and to basically reconstruct Breakneck Hill in a more safe environment. Work within the right of way, create a little bit more length in the path so it's not as steep as it currently exists, and with that also improve some of the drainage at the end of South James Street. On site, currently there's no stormwater. Obviously, the site's been significantly disturbed based on the previous Printex Corporation. Our development is shrunk down from what you previously saw. We're working in most of the disturbed areas, or areas that were already disturbed, which we think is a benefit, as opposed to going straight through to Hunter with our development. We've kind of scaled it back a little bit. So we're focusing our development on the concentration of what's already been disturbed. We're also adding stormwater in, so we will be complying with the latest general permit, the New York State DEC's general permit for stormwater discharges from construction activities. We're going to be providing a bioretention filter for some green infrastructure and runoff reduction. We also recognize the sensitivity of the James Street drainage system, and we're going to be working with the village engineers. We have 2 underground pipe detention systems. And as you saw in the 3D rendering, the multiple levels, well, that courtyard we're going to take advantage of, and we don't want it to be all hardscaped. So we are working with a landscape architectural firm to advance that design, create some green spaces, and design some green roof areas up on that top level, which we think is a really cool addition, so it's not all structure. Just because the way we talk about them as 4 different buildings, but they really sit on a common parking structure as one building. But we wanted to be able to create some green space and some runoff reduction. So we'll be having some.
And I'll just add one more thing. Thank you, Rich. I'll just add one more thing. The site, during our due diligence as contract vendee, the site was tested for environmental contamination. It is eligible, and we are in the New York State Brownfield Cleanup Program. We went through the public notice period, so that's a good thing. The site will be remediated under the guidance of New York State DEC. Chris, you know the details better than me and Rich. Is there anything that we, and Annie, is there anything that we did not mention, or did we flag all the key points?
I think you hit all the key points, Rich and Jim. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, that's all great to hear. Um, Katie or Nick, did you have any? Oh, Nick, yes.
Sorry, just because I'm not terribly familiar with. We were talking about the walkability improvement from the backside, or I don't know how you want to refer to it, but the hunter side. And I think right now, as far as I know, not being super intimately familiar with that area, folks who maybe walk down to the train station have to take that awkward, like, loopy turn onto Secor as the walkway that currently exists, I think. Or is there something else that exists back there already that's this is more a question for maybe the Ossining people, but I'm just trying to familiarize myself with the current situation even down there, because I'm not super familiar with that location. But
I can like give sort of an intro. I was just looking actually at this slide deck that's in the agenda to see if there was a picture of it, because I know there was a picture of it somewhere. But I think you're referring to what we fondly have been calling Breakneck Hill, which we would definitely like to rebrand. Is that what you mean? Sort of.
I mean, I assume that's what we're talking about, but I had never heard that referred to that way before, so I wasn't sure.
It is a very well traveled way to cut through. When we were doing the walking tour, some folks did drop out and said, "Yep, nope, catch you on the other side," or like, "Yeah, I got the idea." But basically, right now, it's a village, maintained space that could certainly use some love. I don't know.
And this was part of fixing up this path. I know this was part of the previous plans too, that was part of the consideration as part of the project. And I actually, looking at what it was before versus what you have now, this is actually what you were talking about, the steep slope. I know that when we looked at this in 2019, that was actually a big concern of ours, was the steep slope and how much disturbance was going to happen in that area. So to see that it's being pushed back, that is great to see.
Yeah, we were happy to be able to
Projects sorry, Rich, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we were happy to be able to make that change ourselves. It just, logistically it offers a bunch of challenges, and just it preserves a nice amount of green space.
I know, Jim, Chris, I know we were just looking at these pictures. Have I completely lost it, or are they someplace that I'm just not able to find?
The existing photos of Breakneck Hill?
Yeah, I thought maybe it was through Google Maps, or maybe somebody had just handy.
Well, Rich, you have them, right? Because it's we just did a board. So
I'll pull the board up.
notwithstanding we haven't submitted that as part of an official submission, we can certainly use that for this.
Yeah,
I think
pulling it up right now.
Maddie,
Yeah.
I think it was Google Maps that we were looking on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I would love if we could show it, just with the caveat that this
Yep.
wasn't included, and we will include it.
Yep.
But I think it's important to sort of, to Nick's point, it's not great. And certainly, from a safety perspective for residents, which is obviously paramount, but also from a village maintenance perspective, this is going to be transformative.
So Rich, for the photo where you see the green, point out where that is on the map to the right first, just to give people the orientation.
So this is the tail end of the rendering you were just looking at, which sits. So this is James Street. Here's the cul-de-sac. You're looking right here in the corner. Right here at the end of James Street. And what happens now is there is a asphalt trail that basically hugs this outer property line and just comes straight down. And you can see it here.
Okay. And that drops. Got it.
Yep. And this is looking at kind of a pictometry view of the trail. There's the end of James Street, sweeps down the hill. You can kind of see it from a different direction. Here's James Street, Hunter's down here now. And it sweeps down this way. So that photo you're looking at is here, looking down. Asphalt's in some severe disrepair. Truth be told, it's got to be difficult for the village to maintain the, even the vegetation and the condition it's in. And the previous plan looked like it was essentially rebuilding the path in the same place, with a straight shot down based on the plans that I was given. I've talked to Jim and team. They're going to go the extra mile. We're actually going to create a couple of switchbacks, develop a little bit more length in the trail, and try and make it feel a little bit safer to walk on.
We cannot make it. It will never be ADA compliant.
No.
Right.
We did confirm with our ADA consultant, we're not required to, but we will make it as, we will improve it to the best way we can.
And there's also, I'm not sure if I missed it, there's some drainage improvements contemplated, right, Rich?
So there's a pair of catch basins. It's actually right below this picture. They discharge right out and flow down along the side of the sidewalk. We're going to actually be bringing the drainage all the way down and making a hard pipe connection, which will help keep some of the runoff off of the hill itself. It'll help maintain the asphalt on the sidewalk and just the integrity of the property.
How sloped is this path at its most extreme?
Good question. I don't have a percentage. I'm going to guess well over 15, probably close to 20, 25, just in some of the spots from walking. It on a wet morning, I was being careful.
Yeah.
Say that again, Rich?
It was a wet morning. I was out there. Even I was kind of being careful not to slip and fall down.
I think on a dry morning, you have to be careful too. I think
And
that,
think about ice. It must be great fun there.
yeah.
Oh, that's great. There's a handrail going in, it looks like, so.
Well,
For
that'll be
part of
helpful.
it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's quite the deterrent in any inclement weather to want to take that route for people.
And it's a challenge. It does kind of feel secluded and grown in a little bit. We've talked with Paul. Paul Frioli, he wants to open up just some of the vegetation a little bit for maintenance purposes, make it feel a little open. We're going to use these existing utility poles to add some lighting. That was one of the requests of the village, again, with safety in mind. So we think this will make this a much better improvement.
All right. I appreciate you guys taking time to go into the details on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rich, can you also, is sometime in the next day or so, could you PDF this so we can add it to the to this agenda as a document, please? Thanks.
I'll send it to you. It's already. I'll send you this PDF.
Thank you.
So you mentioned that there's you're getting brownfield remediation. Do you happen to know how much remediation there is needed?
When you say how much, do you mean like the
Like
scope?
how far depth, like the scope of what would need to be done before you can start?
I don't have the depths with me now, and we do have to do more testing we have to do a remedial investigative work plan, which delineates the entire scope of the cleanup. But it's essentially some hits from the previous use, some metals in the ground, in the soil, up to about 10 to 12 feet deep. There might be hits deeper than that. We just haven't done a full investigative work plan, but it's essentially the cleanup is trucking out the material to permitted facilities instead of just trucking out the material. Permitted facilities in Jersey and Pennsylvania, you have to test the soil. You have to characterize the soil to be able to bring it to certain places. So because we are excavating for that entire parking structure, it's a good benefit that we're getting credits to do that, because you pay more money to bring it to certain facilities. But there's no more, like we're doing 30 Water Street. We were before your board probably 2 years ago about that project. That's the manufacturing gas plant contamination, which requires ISS institute stabilization up to 34 feet in the ground. It's been a bear. We're about 95% done with that work. This is what we're typically used to as a brownfield site, which is just take this material and bring it to somewhere place special.
Yeah, because I had 30 Water Street in my mind when you were saying brownfield. Yeah, that's why I was just curious to know like how far down you would typically go in a situation like this. So this is good to know.
I think it's probably 10, 12 feet. There might be spots that are a little deeper. And what's different than also 30 Water is 30 Water will not achieve a track one. Track one being essentially clean or completely clean just because of the nature of the contamination on the site. This site is eligible to be cleaned to a track 1 cleanup, which means you're basically getting out all the soil that's contaminated.
That is great. That is great to hear. Okay. And you're going to come back, and from what you were saying, you're coming back probably in the next couple of months for the tree removal permit, and we'll end up looking over the application again for that.
Yes, that is our
Okay.
understanding. We expect to submit it on Thursday, so hopefully
Okay.
maybe next month we could come back. Yeah.
Okay. So either for the
Yeah, just
December
as a
or possibly
reminder.
the
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
Just as a reminder to everybody, we don't have a December meeting, so we're talking
Okay.
January.
January. That's right. I forgot we switched the months. Okay. So then January, we'll expect to see you then. Okay.
Perfect.
Uh, I don't have any particular questions outside of you. You answered my question about the cleanup. Katie or Nick, do you have any other questions or
Not at
concerns?
this time. Not at this
Yeah,
time.
nothing that would be maybe under the purview of the LWRP, but just the fact that this is going to be a multi-story development at a fairly high point or elevated point of this part of the area. What's design wise, thinking about collision avoiding. You got talking about hundreds of units, so multiple hundreds of windows. There is bird life down there, and it is kind of in a migratory path. I don't know if that's something that's being considered in design. Again, not really the purview of this group necessarily, but something that's coming to mind for me right now. Just about bird collisions and the possibility of elevated numbers of those with a large building kind of elevated up there with lots of windows. If that's been in the thought process or not.
I will speak to our design team and architect. He would be more qualified to answer that than me. We have not had any group discussions about that. I'm sure he's factored that into his design.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, it's becoming more of like a prominent thing in like the lead certifications and concerns with some of these case studies we see in like Chicago in recent years, where we've had these mass casualty. I wouldn't expect that obviously for buildings these size to have
Yeah.
mass casualties of flocks, but
No, it's a good point. It comes up. I've mentioned earlier, New York State is one of the funding sources for this project through their Homes Community Renewal Program, and that is in their environmental review too. It's part of their something that they ask, and you need to respond to this environmental checklist, and that is not necessarily exactly how you framed it, but that is one of the questions that comes up. So it is on our radar. It's just not prepared to talk about right now.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, and there's vegetation around there, right? Like I don't know how many trees are coming down, but certainly there's trees around, and probably many more being put in, of course, for the tree permit. And then, yeah, I guess Crawbucky and then Keys Cove. Those are migratory stopping points, kind of in the north-south verticality of this. So something worth, yeah, definitely thinking about it. All right, thank you for that.
Sure.
I'm just taking a couple of notes. Just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. Thank you. All right. So I don't have any other comments or questions on my end. So we need to get the letter to you by which meeting? When is the planning board meeting?
It's November 28th is the next, I'm sorry, November 25th is the next meeting.
25th. Okay.
There is a draft of the LWRP checklist attached to the agenda. Do we go over that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't go over it in detail because I know they had filled it out prior. And it's my mistake. I actually had I had reviewed it before the meeting. Most of the LWRP from what I was looking at for 34 State Street actually is not applicable to this site. The site is not located directly along the waterfront itself, so many of the environmental measures that they have to take um, does not apply to the site. And then when we were looking at restoration and revitalization, like this was most of what they had flagged was in relation to the downtown Crescent area. Um, but if there was something in particular that you wanted to look at.
I was just going over
Yeah.
what they have filled out. One thing that I'm curious about, the item number 14, activities and development, including the construction or reconstruction of erosion protection structures, shall be undertaken so that there shall be no measurable increase in erosion or flooding the site of such activities or development. That I guess depends on the actual design and implementation of the project. So I guess it could be a yes, consistent, but that has to be borne out as you carry the project out.
So, so one of the things that we've provided as part of our submission is a stormwater pollution prevention plan.
Okay.
That's broken into two components. The second half we're all familiar with is the post-construction stormwater, those bioretentions, the green roof, all that fun stuff. The first part of it is actually an erosion and sediment control plan, which contains both temporary erosion controls and permanent erosion controls. So on this site, what we've done is we've laid out for seeker purposes and LWRP consistency, a preliminary erosion control plan, which identifies the high level of what will be due during construction. So for instance, obviously we'll have your normal features such as dust control, silt fence, stabilized construction entrances, but we're also going to be introducing a sediment trap on this project just for a little bit extra level of protection, knowing that there's some steep slopes behind us, and some other measures, just with supportive excavation, just based on this nature of construction. And that erosion control plan kind of becomes the precursor as we move into site plans of more detailed logistical planning that we'll do for a project typically this scale in nature.
That sounds good. And then item 17 seems consistent with what you've just told me, but the note is that it's not located in the floodplain, which doesn't I guess, okay, that note is actually more in line with item four, parentheses for, so that is relevant. And what you've told us just indicates the plan to be consistent with this item. Okay, I understand. Okay. You answered my concerns.
Just to take a step back go back to the path, I'm really thinking a lot about, and again, this isn't necessarily in the purview of the LWRP, and maybe it's a question at Maddie and Valerie more so, I don't know, but that's a lot of additional cars in that very congested area of our village. I don't know what else what in addition or complementary to all of this is being considered by the village for, encouraging more alternate means of transportation, trying to make it more walkable to get down to that train station for folks who are going to be commuting. If it's just that one pathway that's being, greatly approved, and that's obviously important, but I can obviously see the effects of that. in some ways and think about it mostly, in a lot of ways, but mostly for like, increased emissions and, health quality of the folks down there in a place where we already have tons of cars, idling buses, and this, that, and the other going on. So I know this
And
isn't
yet,
just.
but to add to that, Nick, the siting of this project is perfect to encourage walkability because not for the 77-year-old me with bad feet, but for a large part of the population, it's a very
Sure,
reasonable.
stores and and I know this is this is touched on in the LWRP, and I'm not necessarily contesting it's not passing on that level since there's all the stores and stuff down there and all that, but inevitably people are creatures of convenience for better or for worse, I feel like, and they're not necessarily going to care to drive or to walk 10 minutes when they can drive to, or in the bad weather if it's not safe to do that to even short distances. So and it's just an inevitable maybe aspect of kind of the burgeoning village that we're becoming, but it's definitely, as somebody who took their child to OCC right next door for several years, and it was fine when I could walk from Main Street, but having to drive and deal with that mess and understand all of the sort of complementary issues that come with that, it's just something I think about a little bit, maybe more specifically based on that experience. But
Yeah,
I
I
guess.
mean, I would be. I'm sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's a good comment, Nick. And we focused on breakneck because of the public benefit. We are also going to be introducing a walking trail from our site that's more direct down to Hunter as part of the additional spaces we're creating for the village. Because I think we recognize your point. When people are given a choice to walk, there are creatures of convenience, and straight line is how they're going to take. So we kind of thought to have our residents walk out, down, and come all the way back. It would be much more attractive to have a direct path. So we're gonna introduce that. Traffic. We didn't mention this, but we did include a traffic study as part of our secret documentation. When we submitted all the documents for this project, one of the things that we recognized was the previous development that was proposed here, and that it had already gone through an environmental review. So a lot of RI was providing the documentation that not only showed that we were less impactful, but still also developing the property responsibly and safely within the village. So, for instance, we did do the stormwater reports, water, wastewater, traffic impact studies. And then, we are doing the improvements to breakneck similar to the other project, but we're also going to introduce another walking path that comes down to Hunter just to offer a more direct route. That bend you'd mentioned in Secor before is right here. We want to get our residents as close to that as we can, respecting the slope. And we're not talking a big, constructed path, but just something very simple and understated, but safe to get residents down.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that additional context and attention to that concern. So thank you.
Yeah, I just want to tag on to that, just to speak more generally, not about this site, but sort of this neighborhood in general. So there's a lot that we've been doing in this neighborhood, and we'll hopefully continue to do with CDBG funding, to improve the condition of the sidewalks, mill and repave using CHIPS money and things like that. Obviously Project Mover is the village's e-bike program that in bad weather, to your point, Nick, is probably not going to be anybody's first choice, and certainly not if they're traveling with more than just themselves. But we were identified as being a micromobility zone by Westchester County when they did their most recent. Valerie, if you could help me, if you remember, they did a pretty broad study 2 or 3 years
Yes.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. And they looked at all the transportation hubs throughout Westchester County, and especially looking at who has more ridership in terms of like public transportation, and then trying to really focus on creating additional mechanisms and also more efficiencies to continue to promote that. So the village of Ossining was one of those. There's only other handful, I think White Plains and I mean, I know New Rochelle, and I feel like maybe Tarrytown might have been another one, but Ossining was definitely one.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that.
Were there any, Katie or Nick, are there any other concerns on the LWRP checklist?
No, now that I understand the nuances there, it all looks appropriate to me.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, I don't think anything within strictly the LWRP is problematic or, yeah, for me. So thanks.
All right. Great. Well, then I'll work with Kate and she'll get the planning board.
Yeah, get the letter written up for you,
Perfect.
for the planning board for their next meeting.
Okay, great.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you.
For your time, appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on the agenda, we have 8189 South Highland Avenue. The applicant is reapplying for a wetlands and tree removal approval. So this is something that we actually looked at a few times. Nick, I don't know if you've actually been part of
I was
any of
playing
the
catch up
previous.
on a lot of that documentation as much as I
Oh,
could.
okay.
Yes,
I
so
believe.
I was gonna just say, one of the things that and I think the applicant's gonna come on and talk a little bit about the project and where it is, and a lot of what they'll probably also mention, just to let you know that, you know, they haven't modified anything, the approval's expired. However, the
Mhm.
planning board wanted you to take a look at it again, just because of the fact that it has been in front of, you know, it's been a number of years.
Mhm.
And they felt that they should get a referral from this board again for both the tree removal and the wetlands.
Hi Daniel, how are you
Hi,
today?
Katie. How are you?
Yeah,
Good.
it's been a while.
It has been.
I am familiar with the background of this particular lot. But if possible, can you give us a quick overview, or someone
Yeah,
for Nick and Catherine, and myself, so that we just have a quick refresher?
absolutely. I would be happy to. Well, for the record, my name is Daniel Patrick. I'm the attorney for the applicant. I've been appearing before a few of the boards in the village for about 6 years on this project now. There was a bit of a lag in between me joining as a panelist and before, so I don't know how much was shared, but this is coming before you for reapproval of the tree removal permit as well as the wetlands permit that was previously granted. I know I heard Valerie say that there's no changes. That is correct. There have been no changes to the plan. It's just a matter of, there's been some expirations, there's been some change of hands of the ownership of the lot. So let me just share my screen real quick and I can walk you through the very high level of the plans here. Do I have those capabilities? Okay, so
Sorry, just
very high level.
before you get
Yeah.
started, Dan, is this something that we have a copy of that you're sharing?
Yes, it is. This is what was included in our submission to the planning board last month, which is also on this council's agenda. So
Okay,
this
perfect.
is the
Just want to make
last,
sure.
either the last page or the last 2 pages of the agenda or the submission that we provided. So what you're seeing here is the eastern side of the lot. The lot is 81-89 South Highland. There is the existing, this is the western part of it. There's an existing 5 apartment buildings. There's 79 units. The approved site plan that remains valid is for the construction of 5 townhouse style units along Walden Road. As you can see right here, this is where the proposed 5 units are approved at. This has been approved. This was approved back in 2020. Since then, we came back for a few reapprovals of things. We also completed the subdivision of this site in order to accommodate the development of this parcel. And previously, we were before this council with regard to the wetlands as well as the tree removal permit applications. And at that time, we've gone through a pretty extensive review of the replanting plan. There's approximately 214 caliper inches of trees being removed. At the time that this was initially approved, the tree permit application was approved. The replanting plan achieved a 1-to-1 ratio of regulated trees to be removed to be replanted. So we are proposing to replant 214 caliper inches of trees. Most of those will be on this lot. There's a handful that are also being proposed on this adjacent lot, which is currently owned by the applicant as well. But we are achieving the 1-to-1 for the replanting plan. The replanting plan includes a number of trees. That the tree and replanting schedule is included here. You might not be able to see it, but this was previously hashed out pretty extensively throughout this review process. So we are proposing to incorporate all the comments that have previously been raised. As far as the wetland mitigation or wetland permit goes, we are not proposing to disturb any wetlands or water courses. There is some disturbance of the wetland buffer or the wetland adjacent areas. We are proposing to mitigate that disturbance at a ratio of 1.75 to 1. So we are substantially exceeding the newer wetland permit regulations, which require 1-to-1 remediation. And again, this is all the same remediation or mitigation measures that were previously reviewed and then approved by the planning board subsequent to this council's prior review. That includes replanting of wetland habitat within the buffer areas, cleaning up trash and debris within the wetlands and the wetlands areas, and removal of dead and invasive species. So again, this is very high level of the project and specifically the replantings and the wetland mitigation. There is currently still an approved site plan, so we're not really here for site plan recommendation review. It's just related to the two specific wetlands and tree removal permit applications that we are requesting the planning board to reapprove at this time.
Daniel,
Oh,
sorry, can you go ahead?
no, I was just saying, I had an opportunity to look at the tree inventory that you put together for the plan. So I can see how, there's been quite an extensive look through of everything that was on the site, because I know this has been back and forth a few times and whatnot. So I appreciate the work that you guys put into inventorying everything and coming up with a planting plan.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that wasn't me, of course. I'm just that was
No.
was my esteemed colleagues on the team who are not joining me this evening, but I will relay that to them. They did do a bang up job in my opinion.
No, and I know from the last 5 years that the EAC, even from the previous chairperson, had given you guys quite extensive of feedback. So it is great to see what has been done over that time. Nick, did you have a question or comment from before?
Yeah, I just wanted to on the tree replacement. You said it. I think you said just now a 1-for-1, and maybe I think in the cover letter here it says there's being 214 caliper inches removed, and the total replacement is 163. So I just wanted to know.
So that's correct. That's 163 caliper inches being replanted on this parcel, and then throughout the prior review. We also had determined that we should achieve the 1-to-1 ratio, so we are proposing some replantings on this portion of the lot, which is not being disturbed aside from just adding some supplemental trees.
I see. Okay.
Again, the code, which was recently revised, only requires a 50% replacement.
Yeah.
But we are still proposing and going to fulfill the 1-to-1 replacement requirement.
And I'm sorry, Daniel, if I was a little more attentive to detail, I would have looked at the last little paragraph after that.
No, okay. No, it's okay. That's why we have these things. That's why we have these discussions.
Yeah, and I appreciate like looking at what that you went to the level of detail of going to the caliber inches too. I had to stop for a second and I was like, we didn't include that in our tree ordinance, but no, it's really good to know because you know that you're going even with the 163 caliber inches, that's still above what we
Yeah.
would have required. So the fact that you're going to the 1-to-1 ratio is really appreciated.
Thank you.
The other concern that was brought up is the issue of flooding, and I know that doesn't change anything of what was previously approved. So I just want to at least mention what some of the concerns had been from people within the area. As far as the before I get into that, but as far as the traffic study is concerned, you know, I know from previously that the traffic study has been done, and that wasn't showing much of a change in that particular area. So I don't really have much to say on that. So I just want to let that know. I'm not ignoring that portion. But the one thing I did want to just at least address is the flooding issues that some of the residents have nearby the proposed townhouses have brought up. Um, is there anything in particular, I guess, you know, I'm just thinking about what can be done to sort of mitigate some of those concerns. Because people have pointed out during very heavy rain events that the area tends to flood significantly. So I was just curious to know if the applicant may have had any plans of possibly doing some sort of pavers that could help control some of that flooding, or maybe perhaps redirect some of the flooding into the wetland area going forward. Not sure if it's helpful to consider this, but I was just telling Maddie before I attended a conference earlier this week, and they were talking about looking at different types of permeable buffers or permeable pavements where they were using it to redirect some of the rain into some of these constructed wetlands, if that's something that the applicant could consider as part of a flooding mitigation um, as they move forward.
Yeah, I mean, so I can say that as part of the site plan approval that we currently have, there is a stormwater plan in place. It is mitigating what the engineers have determined to be the anticipated flooding that could be arising from any large rain events. We're not proposing any changes to the stormwater infrastructure at this time. They have incorporated some pervious pavers over here. Then they've tried to reduce total kind of disturbance and encroachment into the wetlands to the greatest extent possible. So there is a stormwater design in place. We're not proposing to change that. And I believe
Okay.
some of the wetland plantings and things like that will also improve the conveyance of the waters to and from or off the site.
Yeah,
Great.
I think one of the things that you're going to find, especially in communities like Ossining, is that, you know, a lot of the newer development we can control for stormwater runoff. And especially when you have like larger developments. But I think the things that are most problematic are a lot of these communities have been developed when like either there was no stormwater regulations or your current infrastructure is just not built to deal with the storms that we get now. So a lot of it is actually like the already built environment that is the, you know what I mean, the real issue of in terms of like stormwater runoff. And some of the smaller like paving of driveways and those types of things, which are things that the village is looking at and looking to try to regulate a little bit more. But I just wanted to kind of highlight that. So some of the newer development is less of it has actually more stormwater management than, you know, your existing.
And Valerie, and I don't know, Danny, how much you feel comfortable speaking to the engineering side of things, but just when these assessments are done and designs are, you know, being put into place, obviously, you know, the perspective of a lot of people here is we have a very evolving sort of situation in terms of climate change and what the intensity factors of storms are going to be, and how you know, correctly sort of prognosticate that out, you know, exponentially over years is of course a fool's errand at some level. But you know, maybe someone just for my edification can like describe what that looks like at an engineering level, when you're thinking about this kind of design for now, like what is the, you know, design accounting for in terms of, that aspect of increased intensity or whatever versus what today's conditions are. Daniel, I wouldn't expect.
So the regulations require, typically your
Mhm.
100-foot, your 100-year flood. So it's designed to that. I don't recall what this particular project is designed for, but I do know in terms of like this particular project, I believe it had engineers reviewing it and they felt comfortable with what was being proposed for this particular site.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
will
have all
say-
the details. I don't know if Dan, if you happen to have that available.
No, I don't have, I do not have any of the details by any stretch. I will say that the negative declaration that was approved previously by the planning board throughout this review process, like Valerie indicated, this project went through a very extensive review by the village's engineers, their consultants. The negative declaration that is in the packet that we submitted as well does confirm that the stormwater system was designed to treat the 100-year design storm event. So it is looking at the worst case scenario, and it has been designed to that higher level of anticipated storm event.
I guess maybe the more coded thing I was asking there is like, so this was originally approved 5 years ago, and what's changed in 5 years, in terms of those standards or expectations that could be significant or not now. Beyond my technical, obviously, knowledge, but seems obviously very important. But yeah, I don't know that, so if no one knows.
Right. So any upgrades to the New York State DEC stormwater regulations would come this particular project would have to meet any of those newer standards. So anytime, even though like a project hasn't they're saying that the overall project hasn't changed, if for some reason there are newer regulations that come into play, they would have to meet those. So for example, like the tree law that you just adopted recently, they have to adhere now to the new tree regulations, which they do because of what their tree replanting. So anything dealing with stormwater that has been updated in the last 5 years, they would also have to adhere to that as well.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably just going off on my own little interest questioning here, so sorry for a little bit of a sidetrack. Because of course, all those things are going to have to be in order for the planning board and everyone to say, okay.
No, I mean it's makes sense to ask those questions, especially since we're dealing with wetlands.
Katie, do you have any questions or comments?
No, not at this time.
Kate and
Yeah.
Katie, I mean, the only maybe one of the things significantly that has changed in the tree code sense is sort of the emphasis around the arborist aspect here. And I don't know if there was any in you all looking at this and considering, the relative significant amount of trees affected and being replanted, there was any need for the village to be considering, the arborist taking a look.
I will say that was done pretty extensively in the past. I have their correspondence from before. It's from 2022. We have incorporated all of the recommendations and comments from previously. This planting plan looks much different than it did when we first came in the first time around. I would hope it's not necessary to go back to the arborist and change the plan, just given the fact that it's been, there have not been any changes.
Nick, I'm happy to share files from the previous times that they've come before and show what has changed over the years of what they've submitted previously versus what we have now. But this, from what considering what it would look like 5 years ago and what it is now, this is very different in terms of the tree plantings, how it's being approached than it was initially. So in interest of saving time of having to pull all of that up, I'm happy to share anything with you that I might have for this help answer any questions.
Okay, yeah, that'd be helpful. Obviously, this is a fairly extensive project with an extensive background to it that I didn't maybe have the appropriate time to feel like I did my full diligence on it. So yeah, a little debrief on maybe a few questions I have on the
Yeah.
history would be
Like
helpful.
when I say like I appreciate the inventory, like it's clear they went through a very extensive process of flagging everything, because this did go through a lot of discussion in the last few years.
Okay, great. Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, maybe I'll take you up on that.
Okay. Yeah, happy to forward you whatever I have.
I certainly don't want to be tedious about all these things, you know, delay proceedings or whatever. But
I also know, like, I know because like the Village of Briarcliff also has reviewed this and they've gone through their approval process and just looking at everything that's already been done. So like I know if nothing really is changing, yeah, I don't want to.
is that like the little corner of
Like,
Briarcliff there that they get
Yeah.
that little
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're not doing any
Yeah,
site
that's
disturbance in there, but this was referred to them previously for their review and the comment. Yeah,
yeah. Touches
tricky site.
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Um,
So I don't have any particular questions or comments at this time. I know that will you need a letter from us on
Yeah,
the
we are
wetlands?
hoping to return to the planning board on the 25th for
Okay,
continued review by them. If there's no comment, I think a no comment memo will be fine, or if there's minimal
great.
comments.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. We can do that.
Okay. Well, that's all I've got.
All right. So yeah, we'll definitely get the letter to you for the 25th, the meeting with the planning board by the 25th, with any comments that we might have.
Excellent.
But from what looks like at the moment, it's great to see the changes that have been made to the site, to the plans.
Yeah, I
Right.
do remember our earlier reviews and this looks a lot better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We think so as
All right.
well. All right.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see you all. Have a nice evening.
Nice to see
Have a
you.
good night.
thanks a lot. Take care.
Night.
All right. And next on the agenda, we have 209-211 Main Street. They're coming for an LWRP consistency review for the site. This is the site that's next to the Midas building, right where South Highland, Main Street, and 133 all meet.
I was
And I
just
had-
sitting at that light today thinking, when is something going to happen to that site?
And it's so funny that you said that because when I saw the address, I was like, wait a minute, which site is that?
Yeah, we're so used to it being empty.
Does anyone else here remember when we used to call it the Christmas tree lot?
I remember there were Christmas trees, yeah.
Yeah. I'm dating myself.
Well, Maddie, I think you're one of the few that is like a lifer here.
Mhm.
So
I am, but then I have to tip my hand and you'll all know that I'm not 19 years old. So
We wouldn't believe that.
I wouldn't have known any of I've only been here 4 years, so
Yeah.
all
All right,
so
so I brought the applicant over. Robert is here.
Good evening.
good
Good evening.
evening.
How are you? Good.
Good.
Great.
Welcome. So I see that you are here for an LWRP consistency review. I did have a chance to look at it before the meeting. I don't know if Katie or Nick had an opportunity to look at it.
Very, honestly, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, being a late addition, I'm not gonna lie, I was very wrapped up in that prior one, trying to get caught up. That this one, it was more of a cursory review. So, yeah.
Would
Apologies
it be
for that.
helpful if Robert just sort of sets the stage for the
Yeah.
project more holistically?
Yeah, if I can, Maddie, that'd be great. Yeah. Actually, these are, I think JMC's plans were posted. I have my drawings as well, but I guess we can go. That's an old rendering. Just want to preface by saying that. So anyway, but anyway, so this is as you noted, you know the site. This property is about 8,200 square feet. It once supported three buildings on Main Street there, which are long gone, as you again acknowledged. So what we're proposing is a three-story building, 3 stories from Main Street, a mixed-use building. It's a commercial space on the ground floor, about a little over 1,500 square feet, and there'll be some residential apartments as well on the ground floor. The second and third floor will have residential apartments as well, and there's a lower level because of the grade drop that'll have a garage that'll be accessed from the municipal parking lot in the back. Um, there will be in total 16 apartments. There'll be 7 one-bedroom units and 9 two-bedroom units. There'll be parking spaces below. We are short parking spaces, so we have to go to the village board and request the purchase of 5 spaces. We also need a zoning variance because we have a mixed use on the ground floor. We're proposing to build this under the VC code, which does not allow residential use on the ground floor. So we have to seek a zoning variance for that as well. Other than that, we're zoning conforming with respect to height as well. We are proposing as part of this a green roof. There'll be about a 5,000 square foot portion, about 3/4 of the roof will be a green roof, which will be a stormwater retention area, which will hold about 8,200 gallons of water, stormwater, before it goes out to the village's stormwater system, which will be via connection to the rear of the building, and ultimately, hopefully, an easement through some of the parking lot property in the back to a connection on Broadway. And we are going to be removing a couple of trees. There's only one major tree on the property at the rear of the site. It's a pretty substantial one. It's a 46-inch triple maple in the back that's going to be taken down. And there are 2 other pine trees, a 10-inch and a 16-inch pine tree that are on the village property that abut the parking lot. That'll have to come down in order to give us the access route into the garage, into our building on a lower level. We've been before the planning board a couple of times already. We're trying to work out some issues with respect to our parking concerns, and we're hoping to be next month, or this month, actually it's November already, right? Yes, of course it is. We're hoping to be before the planning board, and I understand we're going to be there with the historic review board as well, to look at some more of the details on the architecture that we're proposing in the building. That's the nutshell. I'll get more detail.
Okay.
I have my
A
architectural plans
question.
here if you want me to share them as well. So.
Well, I'm a retired architect. So you're saying there's residential on the ground floor. Do you mean on the floor, the side that faces Highland Avenue, or
No,
on the
it'll
backside?
they'll face the parking lot in the back,
Okay.
basically. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. It would be very cool to see that elevation, but it's just
Yes.
my whim if it's possible. But if not, don't worry about it.
I can show it. Yeah, but want me to share my screen or?
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Okay.
As long as you promise to submit whatever it is that you're sharing.
Yeah, it's the same.
Big part of the record. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not good at screen sharing, so maybe you will get it, maybe we won't. So let's see what
Was
happens
it
here.
attached to the agenda?
Not the architecturals for some reason. I'm not
Okay.
too sure why.
Okay,
Can you see that or no? No,
not yet.
Yeah.
not yet. Okay. See, that's why I share screen. Okay. Oh. Okay. not getting anywhere.
Is it the whatever was in the
Yeah, it's the
The-
same one with this was the architectural plans, Maddie.
revised floor plans and elevations from October 9?
Correct. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I'll make sure that we move this over into the EAC agenda as well.
I apologize. I'm hitting this.
Is this what you wanted, Bob?
There we go. Thank you.
That's
Yeah, so
the-
there's we're working on this front elevation right there in the middle that
Okay.
we're looking at. We had some historic references of some of the buildings that were some photographs of the buildings that were there previously, and we're trying to take some of some elements from those previous buildings that were there to incorporate into our building. Some of the details on top, the corbelling and things of that nature, the window treatments. So again, it's a work in progress. We're hoping to get some feedback from the various boards, and we haven't really gotten to any discussion with this yet. So yeah, if you
And
go down
that's
to
the
that
west-
sheet,
yeah.
some photographs of the original buildings down there. So
And the elevation that's just scrolling up, that's the rear elevation. Okay.
that's the rear elevation, correct? Right? Yes.
Okay.
Based on the parking
Okay,
lot.
so I see. So yes,
Mhm.
there are residential units at the first floor level, but they're not accessed off the street or anything like that. Yeah.
That's correct. Right.
And off the street will be commercial? Or
Yeah, there'll
is
be
it-
commercial
yeah,
and there'll be access to the residential apartments from Main Street as well.
Mhm.
okay.
Separate entrances.
Pretty typical.
Yes. Right. We're dealing with somewhat of a grade difference on Main Street. As you know, it slopes over there. So we have
Yes.
there'll be at two different elevations, but we'll be able to figure that out. Sure.
And congratulations on not trying to pull the parking in off of Highland Avenue.
Oh, no, that's, you're dealing with New York State DOT. I don't think we'd get too
Right.
far with it. So that's sort of what leaves us with all that space on the first floor, because would be a large commercial area to try to rent. So,
Mhm.
they make better use as apartments. So hopefully we can secure the variance to allow us to do so.
Mhm. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Maddie.
Sure. If you want me to bring them back up, anybody, just let me know.
Yeah, I know that looking over, we have a pre-filled out LWRP review. And I know most of this stuff here is again not applicable to what you're working on. A lot of this is just a issue of the geographic location, just
Right.
being west of Route 9. So this is a site that's it's not located along the waterfront, and it
Mhm.
doesn't sit within particular areas of the village that require additional review. Um,
Right.
so I don't particularly have well, I guess questions on the tree removal, but is that something that we are looking at the moment, or we're just working on the LWRP?
So I have to look at the regulations in terms of because there's only like one or two trees that are coming down versus like some of
Okay.
the others. So I'll just take a look at that while you're looking at the LWRP just to make
Yeah.
sure.
But you're saying there was a massive tree behind there with a probably big DBH. So
Yeah, it's pretty good size. So we don't really have room for, we're pretty well covering the site. No room for tree replacement. We're proposing street trees, obviously, but I don't think those
Yeah.
really count as tree
I
replacement.
guess
So,
this is an instance where the tree bank would come into play.
right.
And from a larger standpoint, it might be time for to start, perhaps for this group to start looking at go back to the issue where that tree bank could be
Mm-hmm.
provide
Yeah,
trees,
that's
where the
that's
village
not
could
a
add
bad
some.
idea.
Because this plus all of the other wonderful projects are providing much needed housing and filling in the little empty tooth spaces in the village, but it also takes away some of the open space. And maybe there's an intentional way to make those, to incorporate open space and trees within the whatever little pockets we can find in the village.
Nice.
That's our problem, not yours, I think. Looking at the LWRP, I just have one little question on 1B. And again, this is not a have any deep significance. While this site is not in the crescent per se, it is it not part of the target neighborhood to the north and south? Or maybe I'm not understanding that. It's right now the draft calls it not applicable.
Well, I guess you could say yes, it would be applicable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's
it's really
consistent, but we can say it's
that's
consistent.
It's consistent, but yeah, it's consistent, and rather than not applicable, I would say it's consistent.
Okay. Well, I'm
Sense.
gonna change that to consistent then.
Yeah.
Excuse me for being a layman, but what does VACNA mean?
What is what?
I think he was
Vacant?
trying to say vacant.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a term that I
Sorry.
didn't know. No, you're good.
It's the acronym for. Just, oops.
It does appear that this particular tree, because of the DBH, would be one of like a tree that requires a tree removal permit, and since the tree removal permit is part of a site plan or subdivision, it would require recommendation from the EAC.
Mm-hmm.
So should we wait until that that process goes through before we provide any comment
Yeah,
on
so
the
I'm
tree at the
wondering
moment?
if it probably makes sense for them to come back, because I think, Robert, I don't know if you have like finalized, well, it doesn't look like you're gonna be doing any tree planting. But also Kate, the tree removal is on village owned property. So I think that's why we have to go back to the village board just to make sure that the applicant needs to go back to the village board to make sure that they're comfortable with like continuing to move forward with this process, and then recognizing that the tree needs to come down. And at that point, we can have it referred over to the EAC for recommendation. And I also have to figure out, Maddie, I think that's why this falls into a gray area, because technically it's on village property, but yet it's part of this site plan approval. So ultimately we'll work out like who has the approving authority on that.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So should we wait to do the LWRP letter? Or do you want to do it now and then we'll just review it again when the tree permit comes through and we'll readdress it then?
So
Or
you could
address the tree permit separately.
Yeah, we'll do the tree permit separately. Because then that way, and I'll let you know, because I'm gonna have Stuart just review the regulations. Because of course, as it always happens, whenever we adopt something new, there's always like that one weird, strange scenario that kind of unfolds. And this is the one, because there's a tree on village property. Like,
And that we did not consider this at like in any of the conversation. I don't think we ever thought that this would be a scenario that we would
Right,
be
exactly. We
reviewing.
have regulations in there for when when the village decides to do its own tree cutting, right?
Right.
Like, or tree removal, but so, but anyhow, so we'll get back to you on that. I mean, so most likely they'll probably appear just to kind of, complete the permit
Okay.
process according to like a site plan subdivision, but
This is funny, but it's not funny, but it's funny.
yes, but it always happens this way. I always, all the time.
In a situation like that, it's a singular action taken by the village to decide, like, hey, we're gonna do this now, and then it's kind of like in its own prism of decision making, or no, it's like wrapped up into the whole permitting process for this in a more formal way.
I think so.
Gotcha.
Valerie,
they
I'm
have to
sorry.
have-
The tree removal is approved by whom?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
that was it.
a normal tree
Got it, Maddie.
removal
That's where we were
permit.
going. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Not the village. I mean, the ones on our property, the one on our property. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
one on, yeah, I guess it's an EAC.
Well, we will
Um,
give the recommendations, and
Right.
ultimately that's going to come from
Right.
The planning.
the village, or I was reviewing the actual permit process. But what we
Right,
do in the interim is that we at least give you feedback on how to address it, what we could do to either if we could preserve it or how we could replace it. So we are part of reviewing it, but we don't ultimately approve the permit itself.
Okay.
But this is going to be interesting to see how the village can replace the tree that's on their property in dealing with all of this. This is, yeah.
Great.
That's
Test
something
case.
that I guess that'll be dealt with the village.
Good.
Okay. I don't have any particular questions on the LWRP at this time. I will do a quick review and make sure that um if I to change anything that deals with the crescent to accommodate what we were pointing out, Katie, um about its contribution to the area. But I don't particularly have any other comments. Katie
That
or
was
Nick, do
my
you have
only
anything?
one.
No, I'm set.
So for this one, you plan on coming back for the November meeting for the 25th, or is it how?
Yes, they are
Yeah, okay.
also before the right for the 25th.
It is a busy month
Yes.
for you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Suddenly
Okay.
things are blooming. Yes.
Yeah. Well, did say it would happen.
Mhm.
All right. So then we'll have the letter for the next meeting for the planning department, planning board, for the meeting on the 25th. And then we will expect to see you again when all of the tree permitting process starts to happen, and
Which board has input?
we'll have some updates from there.
Yes.
Sounds good.
All right, great. All right,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Have a good
All right.
night.
Good evening.
Good
You
night.
too. Take care.
That was a lot. I don't think we've
Yes.
had that many things on an agenda in a long time.
Right.
So I just wanted to kind of follow back up with this strange scenario. So we have in the tree law on trees on public property, it says the village engineer is the approving authority and responsible for all trees planted or growing within public places except for village-owned parkland. For trees in public places except for village-owned parkland, the Department of Public Works shall trim, spray, preserve, plant, and where necessary, remove such trees to preserve the health and appearance and symmetry and protect public improvements to the public. So the village engineer is the approving authority for trees in that. So that's theoretically, if this was a normal park, and this is the parking lot, if for some reason the village felt that that tree needed to be removed, they would have to be the approving authority. But because this is part of a site plan application and just so happens that it's on village property, we'll talk to Stuart and see how he wants to proceed. But there is a possibility that it's going to come back to you for your recommendation, because it's associated with a private development. But I just wanted to let you know this strange scenario really does fall in a gray area in this particular case.
Okay.
Pictures
No,
were
good to
very
know.
helpful.
Mhm.
The pictures were very helpful because I was envisioning some immense, superb species,
Yeah.
tree. They're if it's replaced in kind somewhere else, the world will not be any worse off.
Not that I'm saying I want to revisit the tree ordinance to make an amendment, but the next time we have to make an amendment, this is something that I think we should put a
Yes,
pin in and maybe
right.
remember for the future. It's just one of those crazy cases that happens to come up.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, Nick, the 8189 South Highland, that's why we have a wetlands ordinance now. So there's a long history with the site. So like I'm sorry if there was stuff that you were unaware of with previous applications. But that's why I was saying it was funny to see it on new business of the board, because we've actually been looking at that site for a number of years now. So there's been a long history with it, and they actually did a lot of work to revise a lot of the tree plans that they had from before.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a significant project, and I did read those comments from the folks who wrote in about it that were part of the docket here, and can certainly appreciate a lot of those concerns and making sure I'm just doing my diligence for my small role on this in terms of whatever questions should be asked. And if you're good with, I'll be happy to look at it with you later on. But
Yeah.
just in terms of what's going on with the tree replacements and whatnot, and I'm just like doing my own clicking research, like, are these folks at JMC technically the arborist certified, whatever? Like, oh, maybe not. So let's talk about this a little bit more and see if there's a need now that we've got this redefined scope of things for the tree law that we should be looking at. But yeah, maybe we can talk about that offline in the coming days.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. It's
All right,
that's all I
awesome.
have.
Well, thank you all for
Thanks.
we just kept piling it on whenever one after another was ready to go to you. We're like, let's just do it all at once. So
Yeah,
thank
no,
you.
I wanted to make it a point to come prepared today too, because I have to prep to pack for a conference in the next couple of days. So like I just wanted to make sure I even looked at all the stuff beforehand, because I was like, I saw how many there were, and I was like, let's do this. I'm ready.
Yeah.
You're all set. And it's going to be really interesting in downtown Ossining with all of the work that's going to be going on. Exciting, but lots of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's all the excitement that it comes with.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not gonna be a fun place to be while that's all going on. I'll
Well,
tell you that.
you've got the rec center, the new parking garage, the new project but near Market Square. Yes.
But
Very happy
in 5 years, it's going to be great. We just got to make it to the
Absolutely.
5 years.
Absolutely. It'll be really transformed.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank
So
you.
Valerie, I want to make sure I get those letters to you by the 25th. And also I want to actually earlier than that, so that you have time to review the letters beforehand. Is there a time in the next like week or two that you might want to sit down to go through everything, or should I just send you what I have?
Whatever you prefer, right? So if you
Okay.
really, if there are particular questions you have or you want to go through something, I'm happy to meet with you. If for some reason, a couple of them I think are probably going to be pretty straightforward. But if there are particular things that you want to highlight or have some questions on, I'm happy to meet with you. So you just let me know
Okay.
what works with you, and I can be as flexible.
Okay. So I'll be in touch in the next week or so. I'm gonna start writing up the letters. If there's any comments, Katie or Nick, that you might have, just let me know, but I'll circulate the notes that I have from tonight. But I'll be in touch when I get back from my conference and follow up, so that we can get everything to Maddie and Valerie beforehand, and we'll have it ready for the 25th.
Okay,
And
great.
Great. All right.
Just
So
enjoy your
one more
conference.
thing. One more thing
What's up?
before we break off, guys. Sorry. So we won't see each other until January. But in the meanwhile, just a friendly reminder, you're going to be seeing emails from me about sexual harassment prevention and workplace violence prevention training over the next like 8 weeks. So if something comes up and you know that you're not going to be able to get it done by January 1st, just please give me a wave. But you know, we try to make it as painless as possible. So keep your eyes peeled for that probably later this week.
I just finished doing active shooter training the other day, so yeah. But I'll keep an eye out for it and make sure to get it to you. It's working at universities now. That's what they make you do. Yeah. But on a happy note. All right, everyone.
All
So
right.
the EAC meeting for November 3rd, 2025, we are adjourned, and I will see everyone in January.
Yep.
And
Happy
you'll get
holidays,
letters from
everyone.
me in the next couple of weeks for 3 cases. Have a good night, everybody.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.